Both of you, welcome. Appreciate it. So, Lee, I want to come to you first. We look at these polls. I think America looks at the polls, and it is a tick up, tick down for Trump versus Harris. And it's really hard to make sense of what's going to happen tomorrow. Again, we always have to wait for the votes to come in. But what are you looking for? What's going to make this election break one way or the other? What do you see that being?
So I'm looking at a couple things. Number one, I'm looking at the breakdown of voters that are going to the polls right now. We're seeing more men than young men than expected, and that's looking like it's going to break for Donald Trump. Also looking at right now in the early returns and the early voting, Democrats didn't have the numbers that we expected to in urban centers. They didn't have the female turnout as strong as they did in 2020. And we also are seeing rural turnout up in the early voting. All of those are good signals for Donald Trump. Again, it's a very different year than 2020. A lot of people were talking about that 2020. We're in the middle of COVID. But we're seeing much better numbers for the Republicans, early indicators, than we are for the Democrats at this moment.
I want to move on to this, Governor Huckabee. Kamala Harris wants her supporters to shout their own names at her rallies, but for the first time in a long time, Kamala Harris is not saying the name, President Trump's, that is. Her team is claiming it is a last-ditch effort to be positive, happy and joyful, but her posse didn't get the message.
And remind everybody, if you're voting for these Republicans in New York, you are voting for someone who supports Donald Trump, and you're anti-woman, you're anti-abortion, and basically you're anti-American.
I think there's a lot of people, left, right, and center in this country, who are just yearning for a more normal future, one with, frankly, has a more normal Republican Party.
Do you think that that was hurting her? Because, again, they were trying to paint Donald Trump the entire campaign as the boogeyman, but they had nothing but nasty things to say. She had nothing to say about herself, and even her super PAC was cautioning a week ago against her pursuing this he's a fascist, he's a Nazi argument, and of course calling all Trump supporters garbage didn't help them.
Yeah, it's like having somebody club you in the head for 30 straight minutes and at the end saying, oh, by the way, I'm really not that mean. Here's a popsicle. Enjoy the rest of your day. This is ridiculous, and I thought it was so crazy. I mean, I've been a candidate many times, so let me just express it this way. If you're the candidate, you know they're going to say things about you. They'll call you things that are not even close to the truth. That's the way it works. We're all used to that. But what we're not used to is when a campaign and a candidate and the surrogates go after the supporters. And so it's the supporters that are a threat to democracy, the MAGA Republicans. They're the ones who are garbage. They're fascist. They're Hitler. They follow Hitler. They're racist. They're misogynist. They're homophobes. I mean, pick a title. We're all of those things. And you know what? It ain't working because it just makes people who are for Trump that much more for Trump. And it also is an insult, not to the candidate, but to the followers of the candidate. And of all the people telling us what a normal Republican ought to be, Pete Buttigieg, seriously? This is a party that doesn't know what a woman is. This is a party who thinks that 13-year-olds shouldn't buy tobacco, liquor, get a driver's license, go to the military, get married or have a contract, but they should be able to be surgically mutilated without their parents' consent. And they are telling us what's normal? I don't think so.
Hey, Governor,
the reason Donald Trump is doing well is because he does represent a normal working class America, and thank God for it, and I sure hope he wins tomorrow and pushes back on this nonsense.
You don't entice voters to your side by insulting half of the country. It's a really good point. Odd campaign strategy for those who have run in campaigns like you have so many times. But Lee, you brought up the sexes and the differential between men and women and men coming out in this election. But this could be a turning point in the battle of the sexes, with both candidates rallying strong support. Trump is up 18 points with men, Harris up 16 points with women. But according to Doug Emhoff, Trump isn't as cool as young men think he is. Watch this.
What I talk to young men about who might be taken by the fun side of Donald Trump, such as it is, the dancing, the going to the wrestling matches, going on the podcast, and trying to portray himself as someone who he really isn't. He's not your friend. You know, the policies that he's talking about will not help them in the economy. The policies that he's talking about.
So Lee, quick, does the beta male, Doug Emhoff, really resonate with these young men who are looking for alpha males in their life, maybe a Dan Bongino or a Joe Rogan? Does that actually work?
No, and I don't think he understands what's really happening, because this isn't just about, is Donald Trump your friend? It's actually, is Donald Trump going to be the person that fights for you? These people are disenfranchised, they feel left behind, and they want somebody who's going to fight back. They say these things, the way society is working doesn't work for them. They're tired of the way things are working right now, and they want someone that's going to go in and blow things up, talk to them like they're grown-ups, and actually do something about it. And that's what they see in Donald Trump. I don't think they think his dancing is cool, but I do think that they love that he will go and tell it like it is and fight for them. And that's what it's all about. And I think really a lot of folks on the left do miss the bigger story here. What are people really looking for?
And Governor Huckabee, Kamala and Joe and their sanctimonious sidekicks, they knowingly crushed working men and women without compunction, based on their policies, handouts for their cronies, and pain and suffering, financial hardship for everybody else. And when you listen and watch President Trump, what he has shown, serving up fries at McDonald's, riding in a garbage truck, not only is it humor, he is saying to the American people, I understand there is dignity and honor and pride in work. And I acknowledge what you do, and it shouldn't have to be this hard for your family.
I just want to say, Dagan, you know, Donald Trump shows that he's willing to hang out with people who grew up like I did, dirt poor in South Arkansas. He's willing to hang out with people in a barber shop or a coffee place, wherever, and he's comfortable there. The people that are running the other side, I mean, they hate people like me. Let's be honest. The elitists, the snobs, the globalists, the ones that look down their very well-educated noses at the rest of America. That's why they call us un-American. They just love to throw names out there because they don't know who we are. They have no idea. They don't know us. But we know who we are, and we're the people that built this country. And there's a lot of folks wearing hard hats and people who've stood on concrete floors lifting heavy things for a paltry sum of money that are supporting Donald Trump because they believe that he will fight for them, and they've seen it. And they know that, for the most part, the Kamala Harris wing, they could care less what happens to these folks because they don't even like us.
Mike Huckabee, Lee Carter, thanks for being with us. We'll all tune in tomorrow night. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be historic. Thank you both.
Thank you.